digestion is something I know our audience cares a lot about. So you mentioned chamomile for people who, was it chamomile with stress manifests in their gut? But yeah, would love to hear more
Yep.
about what some of your top go-tos and corresponding observations indicating those go-tos are.
Yeah, so chamomile is certainly for someone whose stress centralizes to their stomach, where as soon as you're stressed out, it just feels like there's a rock in your stomach, and no matter what you eat, you're just not digesting it. Everything kind of shuts off down there. So chamomile is nice because it not only acts as an anxiolytic and helps with the stress-driven fight or flight factor behind that digestive experience, but it also acts as a bit of a digestive bitter, especially if you're
Mm.
doing a very long infusion and you're steeping that chamomile for a long time. The longer that it's in that tea bag in the hot water, the more bitter it becomes. So it's kind of
Right.
like a 2-for-1 anti-anxiety digestive bitter, super cheap, super easy remedy. And like I said earlier, my teacher, Claudia Keel, would say chamomile is for people who are crying on the outside. That's why it's really great for kids, really great for fussy children who are like, oh, my stomach hurts. Are we there yet? It's someone who
Mhm.
has no trouble voicing their concerns and is going to tell you and complain about how they're feeling, child or adult. Whereas something like catnip, which is also a lovely anti anxiety and even digestive herb, is for someone who's going to be sitting there feeling horrible, having digestive symptoms, but they're not going to tell you how they're feeling and they're going to keep it all inside. So
Right.
even just knowing that can help you kind of customize a digestive blend for someone or try out a tea for yourself. And then we have many other digestive plants and even classes of it of digestive plants. There's certain things called carminatives, which are herbs that just help to release trapped gas from the digestive system. And so often that's where someone's pain and bloating and discomfort is coming from. So instead
And
of
what's an
using an
example
over the
of that
counter,
sort of herb?
so that would be something like fennel. Fennel is
Hmm.
a
Okay.
wonderful, super easy kitchen spice that's a carminative. You can just take a few fennel seeds from a spice cabinet and chew on them before or after your meal to help
Hmm.
release some of that
Great.
gas and resolve digestive discomfort. And then, of course, we have the bitters, like I mentioned earlier. And the key with digestive bitters is you want to take them 10 to 15 minutes before your meal so that you can have enough time for those digestive juices to be beautifully stimulated before you start eating your actual meal. And back in the day, we used to do this naturally. People used to eat bitter starters, used to eat bitter greens,
Right.
dandelion greens,
Right.
endives far more consistently than we do now. Now we just kind of go right into the meal. So I had created for my line, I have one blend called Digestive Juice, which is a digestive bitters spray so that you can just keep it in your purse, pull it out and spray
Hmm.
it right on your tongue to get that dose of bitter flavor 10 minutes before your meals. And if you're with a group of friends, you pass it around and everyone will be really surprised at how good they feel. But I also have another bitters blend called Gluco Bitters, which has more of these herbs that help to regulate your postprandial glucose response
Hmm.
to that meal. So if you're someone who tends to have a lot of fatigue after your meals, or you tend to have blood sugar spikes, highs and lows throughout the day, that's a bitters blend that has not only digestive bitters, but blood sugar balancing botanicals as well.
With the first formula that's more stimulatory, if you will, do you
Mhm.
notice if people have indigestion, reflux, heartburn? Is that like HCl, which in that symptom presentation can either make people worse or better, kind of depending on what's going on? Is it sort of a hit or miss with that group, or what do you notice?
So it's interesting. I tried to formulate it so that it would be as applicable to both of those groups as
Hmm.
possible. On the one hand, even people who have some heartburn, some acid reflux often still need some digestive support. The acid is either in the wrong place or secreting at the wrong time. They still need some support with digesting their meals. So it'll still be helpful. But for folks who have just like true acid reflux, there's some licorice root in that blend alongside the herbals to help soothe and reduce inflammation within the GI tract if you're having a constant presentation of heartburn acid reflux. So we find that a lot of folks feel a lot better just from the licorice root in that blend and then also get some digestive support. But as you know, there's a population of people who are having acid reflux and heartburn because they don't have enough stomach acid to actually signal the closing of their lower esophageal sphincter after their meal. So food is actually coming back up into the esophagus after they eat. So for that group of people, you're actually helping them to produce enough stomach acid to close the LES so that they're not having an experience of acid reflux at all.
Right. Right. Okay. So people could just try it and see how it goes, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very gentle. It's not going to make you dump massive amounts of HCl, and it's nothing like an HCl supplement. That's the thing. When you're taking betaine HCl in supplement form, you have no idea how you're going to respond to that. That's actual like HCl that you're supplementing, and it's acid, and it can be inflammatory for a lot of people. This is just kind of stimulating your body to release its own
Right.
proper amount of digestive juices. That's the top-down effect.
Do you find certain dosing forms are better at certain points in time? I know you have tinctures, teas. I've actually been a big fan of tinctures with people who are really sensitive because you'll have no excipients. Even the cleanest supplement brands are going to have some excipient.
Mhm.
So, the other thing is if the person is really um, meticulous, if you will, or they don't like a bad taste, sometimes it's hard to get them to use like an artemisinin tincture, which has a really strong taste to it. So you have to know your audience. But just FYI for our audience, if you're really sensitive, then a tincture can be nice because it's a bit cleaner. But yeah, tell us more about the forms that you use and kind of what you like.
Yeah, I think that when you're trying to have an effect on like the water systems of the body is the best way I can put it. Doing something like a tea, a water soluble herbal preparation is going to be ideal for that. So if you are dealing with someone who's having a lot of dryness within their skin and their digestive system, and an herb like calendula would really help to moisten and lubricate their gut to help them have greater body-wide hydration and nutrient absorption, you're probably going to want to have them drink a calendula tea so that the delivery method can kind of act in the way that we want it to have the correct effect.
Right.
But for just dosing a therapeutic amount of herbs in a way that's really clean and really potent and really fast acting, you really can't do better than a tincture, because obviously it's kind of like instant absorption and you're getting maximum surface area of ingesting that liquid. The problem, like you said, is that tinctures usually taste really bad, and that's because a lot of tinctures are alcohol-based, and that's for a reason. So you have to extract, especially alkaloid-rich plants in alcohol, because alkaloids are only alcohol soluble. They're not going to extract into a different solvent. So what we do for our tinctures to combat the taste issue is that we extract all of our tinctures in alcohol first so that we can maximize the actual phytochemical extraction. And then we slowly cook off the alcohol as we slowly replace the alcohol with organic vegetable glycerin, so that you end up having a final product that's herbs in glycerin, but they were not extracted in glycerin. And they taste a lot better because glycerin is sweet and gentle and kind of mucilaginous and doesn't burn your throat.
And do you find any difference with absorption or efficacy between the two?
No, I find that when done right, when you work with the right manufacturer who knows how to take a tincture from alcohol to glycerin, you're getting the exact same effect. If you're tincturing herbs in glycerin, you're losing. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna get you the phytochemicals that you're looking for. So you never want to actually tincture in glycerin. Some people do this. If you're tincturing like chamomile and glycerin, that's fine. But again, if you're tincturing dense roots, things like dandelion root or burdock root, anything that has rooty alkaloids, you have to go for the alcohol.
And then people who prefer pills, those are usually options for almost any one of these plant compounds. Are there any
Mhm.
for which you would say only use this herb as a tea or as a tincture?
I would say for milk thistle, for example, only use it as a capsule or a tincture, because milk thistle tea is not going to get you the phytochemicals that you're looking for. I think adaptogens are suited to capsules. I find that that's a fine delivery form, because again, they're just like food-like roots and you're kind of grinding up the
Right,
root and taking it in capsule form.
right,
And even better in powder form, because adaptogens taste pretty good and are mild and neutral and kind of sweet. Just putting some adaptogens into like an energy ball recipe that has some nut butter and protein powder is a great way to get a very high dose of adaptogens in through food so that you don't
sure.
have to take a million capsules. And then other than that, again, like anything that's very rich in alkaloids, things like dandelion roots, a lot of liver herbs, I do prefer to take them in tincture form because there's that extra step of processing that really concentrates the alkaloids.